What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Keeping It Real podcast. Today, I got a very, very special guest with me today, Alex Heiden, one of my really good friends that I met in this journey when I've been, creating my agency, being an entrepreneur. You meet some people when join courses, when you're doing similar things. And Alex is one of these guys I've met that are really, really just a genuine person, a hard worker, and someone who is about their success. So it only made sense to bring him onto the podcast, get his perspective on things, hear about his journey, and just talk about business, life, and many more things. But I'm going to give the floor to Alex and get him to briefly introduce himself. Alex, welcome to the podcast, and go ahead. Let the people know who you are, what you do, and what you're all about, brother.
Appreciate you, bro, and I appreciate you having me on. So I originally started off I started off trying to start my journey in e-commerce drop shipping. The very first time I saw you was in Tanner's course during the email marketing section. So that was one of the first courses that I ever bought for e-com. Great course, but I wasn't able to see success with it simply because I was playing around with too little capital to get into e-com, which I didn't know at the time. So then eventually I became a closer. So I was just selling other people's courses for them over the phone. And I scaled that as a sales agency throughout 2020. And I disassembled that after back-to-back record months in January of 2021 to start Closify, which is obviously what I'm running now. So that's my journey in a nutshell.
That's amazing, man. And, similar to a lot of people, and a lot of young people is like, hey, switching around, figuring out, hey, what might work, learning skills along the way and bringing those skills into whatever business you're doing. I would literally love to hear, more on your journey, because I'm really genuinely curious outside of this podcast, like just hearing people, how they got into entrepreneurship, what made them think this way, what made them want to, say no to the matrix way of life, which is get a job, get loans, schools, all that. Outside of that, what made you think this way? What got you into business? What got you into entrepreneurship? And just even talking about the different transitions you've had along the way, like you said, from even me, drop shipping to closing to now Closify and all the other stuff along the way.
Right. So it's actually like really interesting for me because I probably grew up in like the most traditional family ever. So my dad actually just retired after 30 years in corporate finance at Chase. And my brother is starting now at Chase in like 2 weeks. And so my dad majored in finance in college. My brother double majored from like a top university. I was majoring in finance in college because I was just always expected to go down that same route, right? Like that was just kind of like, and I think we're literally on like our fourth generation of like corporate finance guys. So like, I grew up, well off, never had to worry about anything. But it was, and I was always planning on going into finance investment banking because I was like, that's where like the money's at. That's where I'm going to make money. And when I was a junior in high school, my brother had just started his freshman year of college. And it was a very expensive university. And I remember him saying like, oh yeah, like the classes are honestly like pretty easy. Never have class on Fridays. And I was kind of like, what do you pay money for? Like, you know what I mean? I was like, he's like, the classes are easy. He's not really learning much and he has no class on Fridays. And so that was when I kind of started to think like, maybe it doesn't make sense to just like go this traditional route because I was like, he's not actually like learning anything.
To add on to that, and was that something very unconventional in your family and where you grew up?
Yeah, absolutely. Like everyone around me is going to college. Like we're in a pretty well-off neighborhood, and it's like, and for example, like my brother went to a top 15 business school. I got into some really good schools like Case Western, Carnegie Mellon. So like I got in some very good schools as well. But then, I saw how expensive these schools were. Like, for example, Case Western was like $60,000 a year. And so I got accepted into there and I was like, but there's no shot. Like we're paying that much money. And so then I just started to like, honestly, I had to write a paper my senior year about something that was like unpopular. And so I actually decided, even though I was going to college and I knew I was going to college at the time because I wanted to play tennis in college, which I played 2 years of tennis for St. Louis University. I wrote my paper about the fact that college might not be worth it like most of us think it is. And so I finally did all of my own research on it. And I remember like briefly off the top of my head, like some of the statistics I remember is it's like 80% of college graduates, one, they don't work in the same space as where they got their degree in. And they also don't necessarily enjoy what they do. Like it doesn't say that they hate their job, but they also don't like it. And that's 80%. And
Yeah.
so then it's like a really vicious cycle of, it's like, okay, you're getting a degree, which gets you into a job that you don't like, but you have to stay at the job you don't like to pay off the degree that got you that job. And so then I just started to like really, really question it. And I've always been very like influenced by my parents. Like I would honestly kind of accept what they told me without necessarily thinking for myself on it. But obviously then when I went off to college and I was away from my parents, I was actually able to kind of start thinking for myself because I didn't have their influence because I wasn't with them. And so then I got to, and I didn't want to completely knock college too until like I tried it. And so then I got to, actually experience it in person. And so at the time I was, like I said, senior year of high school, I discovered drop shipping. Like I knew what it was. I was trying to do it all throughout my fall semester of college.
What year is this?
2019.
20, okay.
So like August of 2019, I went to college. I was still trying to make drop shipping work. And I was like hell bent on like making it work. Like I wasn't doing any partying. Like I was just watching YouTube videos, buying courses, making stores, like trying to make it work. And I was having no success. But then obviously I was also being a student athlete. And my freshman year, I got like a 3.8 GPA. And it was everything that my brother had really told me. Like it was super easy. Like the classes were easy. I wasn't really learning anything. But I was like, okay, it was a lot of gen ed classes, it wasn't really like major specifics. I was like, okay, whatever. And then I had basically brought myself to be broke by the time it was like winter break. So December 2019. And so then in January 2020, I was like looking for something new to do because I was like, okay, I just burnt all my money on drop shipping. And I actually came across this just random course on Twitter. And it was for phone closing. And this guy was like, dude, like you were just trying drop shipping. Like you could be the one selling those drop shipping courses. And it was crazy. I got my first client after like 2 days.
Wow.
And it was selling like a $250 Amazon FBA course. So the commission was literally like $40. Right. I just remember I closed my first deal and it was like, I got paid again. It was like $37 commission. Like I'll never forget it. Like it was like the most like fulfilling thing ever. Cause even though it was literally $37, like I finally made money online.
Right.
But so then it scaled really quickly. So like in January, I ended up making like maybe $1,000, but then February was like $3,000, March was like $5,000. And then April of 2020 was my first ever 10K month. And so that was when I was like, okay, like this is like for real. You know what I mean? Like, cause that's like the milestone.
That's amazing, bro. That's amazing.
And so that's when I was like, okay, this is real. Like this money isn't made up. Like now that I've seen people talk about 10K a month, like now I've experienced it. I know it's real. And so I was like, okay, I don't know if I'm going to go back to school in the fall or not, but like, let's just see if I can keep this up. And it did get pretty inconsistent after that, which is why then I bought Copy Paste Agency in June of 2020 from Emon. That helped me put some systems into my agency. And so then, May and June and even July were a little bit inconsistent. They were under the 10K month or mark. But then once I got back to August of 2020, I was back at the 10K month mark consistently. And I decided to go back to school, even though this was obviously school during COVID. And it was horrible. The only reason that I went back though was because I still wanted to play tennis and just really strict. Now there's online learning and the lectures were basically them sending us links to YouTube videos and saying, go watch this YouTube video, basically. And then giving us tons of assignments. And so that fall semester, I had a 1.7 GPA.
Oh, shit.
1.7.
Hard.
And so then it got to winter break. And again, I was still making 10K a month. I was like, I'm doing well. Like I was focusing on business. I was like, I'm not going to watch these like YouTube videos and do all these like stupid assignments based on YouTube videos. Like I can do that for free. But so again, I still went back in the spring semester because again, like I wanted to play tennis and that's when our season is. And things didn't really change. I got bad grades again. And the other tricky part was, so again, I think in January we did almost 20K because we had closed 2 influencers in a row to run their whole sales operations. And so I got a FaceTime from one of my buddies and he's like, the no code SaaS world is insane. He's like, I just brought a SaaS to 30K monthly recurring revenue in 90 days and got an offer for 1.2 million. And so he's like, you got to drop everything you're doing and you got to jump into the no code SaaS game. And I was like, I mean, that's interesting, but I don't know anything about it. He's like, luckily I do. He's like, let's brainstorm an idea. And so we came up with the idea of like, hey, like there's no good place to hire sales reps. And we realized that agencies, actually, thank God for Iman's copy paste group chat, because they were the one that everyone was like, Alex, like, can we hire your agency? And when then I'd explain to them, we charge a monthly retainer. And I remember I talked to you actually about it at one point as well. And you said the same thing. You were like, I need an in-house sales rep. You're like, I can't work with an agency for this. I need someone to be a part of my team and grow with me.
Yeah.
And we realized that was a huge problem actually in the B2B space. And so we made a platform that allows businesses to hire commission only in-house sales reps that are trained and tested in different niches. And so I paid $2,000 to get the first version built, and then we pumped some money into it. That was the only money I ever had to put into it out of pocket. And again, keep in mind, like all of this I'm doing while I'm in school as a college athlete. So I'm practicing 6 a.m. to 8 a.m. Like I have weights throughout the day. Like we're doing like mental sessions. Like we're doing a lot of stuff. So like I was a busy guy. But so then, I only had to put $2,000 out of pocket into it. And, by April of this year, I had already got it back to where my sales agency was, and it was all inbound and referral based. Wow. And so we hired a developer in April to build like a new custom coded version finally. So, you kind of evolve from no code, pump some money into it, and then you go and pay for that developer. So yeah, and now it's like, we're about to do a public launch on July 1st. It's all inbound. Like I literally just got off a demo call, like 30 minutes ago. The dude found me. He's like, I found you like the 5th page of Google. I was like, what? Like we've never done any SEO work or anything.
5th page, bro.
Yeah. I was like, I can't believe some guy like searched to like the 5th page, but because almost all people come from my personal brand on Twitter. And I was like, wait, where do you come from? Cause I could tell like he didn't really know who I was. He's like, I found you on Google. And I was like, huh? Yeah, dude. So that's like my journey. Cause then, I realized with my sales agency, I was pursuing something that the moment I was done with it, it would just stop earning income for me and I could never sell it. And so again, if I dismantled it, if I stopped doing it, my income just goes away and I don't have an asset that I can sell.
Right.
And so now with Closify, it's not reliant on my personal brand. It's not reliant on me. We actually have a CTO, we have a CMO, we have a director of sales, we have an account manager. It's actually much more of a business than my sales than my sales agency ever was. My sales agency is really just me and 2 closers. And so now we actually have a business that, one, it provides cash flow for me and my whole team. And when it does get to a point where we would feel comfortable or just want to sell it, we'll be able to.
That's amazing, bro. And we're going to talk more about Closify towards the end. Thank you for sharing your journey. And I know we talk about this a lot. And you just mentioned how majority of your, revenue, or actually all of your revenue, came from inbound and referrals, meaning, networking being a huge part in everything that you're doing. And this is something you've mentioned to me, like, networking being a huge part of your success. So I would love to kind of hear you touch on that aspect of it, explain that a little bit more, and elaborate on that.
So I attribute networking to so much of my success because it is literally just a cheat code of people that are ahead of you that can accelerate your timeline. And so the way that I have gotten really, really high level people into my network, and I'm actually almost positive I did this with you as well, is, everyone wants to, like, for example, I'll have people reach out to me and there's like, hey, like, can I do anything for you? Which is like a very like basic way. And it's like, if you're asking like, can I do anything for you? That's like kind of like signaling that like you don't have anything valuable. Like you need to like go to people that you want in your network with like a value proposition. And so, but the way that I would always do it, that is like, I swear it probably has 100% success rate, is I knew you were the best at running emails for, brands. And so I would find, when I'm doing outreach for my sales agency, I remember I would find people say, hey, I need the best email marketing agency. And I would just screenshot it. And I remember I would DM it to you. And I'm like, hey, you should go reach out to this guy. He's looking for an email marketing agency. And so like, if you send someone business, they're gonna be like, oh, this guy like is just sending me business for nothing. Like, he's not asking for anything in return. Like you're going to be very inclined to then help me out. And so I've done the same with other people. So 2 of my business partners on Closify, they both became business partners with me because I did that. I would just send them business and I would send them opportunities. Like for example, one of my business partners, the CTO, the one that like he builds these no code versions. I found someone that was like, I need someone that can partner with me and build a no code SaaS. And so I just put them in a group chat, and he appreciates that. Now he helps me even more. So that's like the number one way that I network, and it works super, super well.
100%. That's a really good way of putting it, man. And like you said, value proposition, thinking about what value you can add to people. Because you're right, this free work, can I do this for free? For like that doesn't work. Because if people, I
Right.
realize at least like at certain level, they're already paying people to do certain things where they're like, I've realized is like a lot of people stop valuing free work when you realize you can pay for it, right? Because paying for it, it's like, yo, do the shit. If I
Right.
remember my mentor used to say is like, I will pay you. I don't even want work done for free. I want to pay you so I have the option to yell at you if I have to. And I was like, that's a good point.
I like that.
Basically talking about feedback, give feedback. I want you to kind of touch more on Twitter and leveraging Twitter to network and leveraging Twitter to kind of build your brand too.
Absolutely. Twitter is a hidden gem, man. I've never been one to use social media a lot. Like I don't post on Instagram. I'm not trying to like show off a flashy lifestyle or anything like that, like a lot of business guys do. And like Twitter is like a place where like people really just drop gems and long form content. A thread can be pretty long. So, you know, I can make a thread going through my whole sales script that's closed, multiple 6 figures, 7 figures in deals. And that's super valuable. And so then a lot of people are going to reach out to me and they're going to be like, hey, like I have sales experience. Like I'd love to close for your platform, Closify. Or I'll put out a thread about how to handle objections for like a logistical agency buyer. And then I have a lot of agency owners. Hey, I really love that thread. I would love to get a sales rep from you. And so I believe I get close to like 200,000 impressions a month, which means,
What?
200,000 people are seeing what I put out every single month,
For free?
and that's like, I don't tweet that for free. Like that would cost you money, obviously, on Facebook, and it's free and it has a lot of reach. And also, like, I don't tweet that much. There are guys with 20,000 followers that are making $1 million a year from Twitter alone. You know what I mean? Like
Right.
it's crazy. And then you're cross-pollinating it to grow your email list. They're like taking screenshots of their tweets and posting on Instagram. Like it is a hidden gem. I mean, dude,
Yo, just to add on to that, I went on my Twitter analytics. I was like, let me see. I only tweeted
yeah,
29 times this past month, and they're all probably just not even like helpful tweets. 12K impressions.
right. It's nuts. And again, it's like there's just all this room for like cross-pollination. Like, you're going to grow your email list from it then. And yeah, the amount of reach it has is insane because one big person retweets your tweet and then boom, their whole audience is going to see it. Like it is really crazy. And it's also like interesting. I mean, again, it's just things like Closify is doing 5 figures a month solely from Twitter. That's it. And it's really nuts, but it gives you the opportunity to like share longer form content. Like Instagram is like, hey, look at my lifestyle. You know what I mean? Twitter's like, hey, like look at my like intellect, like look at my thoughts, look at my value. And my Twitter account is basically also the reason I have like a very cult like following, because my Twitter is basically the documentation of my journey from January 2020 to now. So people have seen me grow from closer to sales agency to Closify. And so they know that I'm really about what I say I am. They're like, I've seen, and I've been very transparent. Like I've shown revenue numbers. I've showed to my clients where like I've been very, very transparent, which is why my personal brand is so strong with the followers that I have, because they have seen everything that I do. So now, like when I'm on a call from Twitter, like they know everything about me. They've seen how transparent I am, and I'm not even selling them. I'm literally just showing them, hey, this is what I have. Do you want it or not? And most of the time they're like, yeah.
That's amazing, man. That's amazing. And you know what? That's like a huge lesson in business. Is like, yo, have a good product, and that's the marketing. You know what I'm saying? It's like, yo, you don't need to do marketing when you have the right product. Let's move on to more of your, more on your journey, more on your personal life, and also your business life. But talking about obstacles that you've gone through that, at the time might look like, oh, it's holding you back, but when you look at, you realize, oh, that made you a better you. Whether it had to be with school, certain things you went through on business. Would just love if you wanted to share any obstacles that you think helped you. Go ahead and share that. Go ahead and share that, as I believe, like, it's important to even just talk about the obstacles you went through in this journey, not just
So the biggest obstacle was school, really. And since I had such limited time when I was doing this, because my freshman year, I was a lot busier than I was this past sophomore year because classes were still in person. So like, for example, my schedule was I had practice from 6 to 8, which I had to wake up at 5 because we have to drive to our tennis courts. I had practice 6 to 8, class 9 to 1. I would eat lunch. We had weights then like 2 to 3:15. And then from 3, I would literally take a nap because I'd be so exhausted from waking up early. And then I'd like eat dinner. And then after dinner, I'd do all my homework and then either read a book or watch YouTube videos or do outreach or whatever. And I would do that until like midnight and then obviously wake up at 5 again. And that was, and I didn't have to necessarily, it didn't have to take that long. But since I had bought into this, like that Gary V, like grind mentality, I was like, you know what? I can like eat shit and like I can only sleep 5 hours a night. Like I can do all these things. And like I wasn't, honestly, I didn't have much of a social life. Like I wasn't going out, like I wasn't having a lot of fun with my teammates. Um, and so like I thought it was helping me, but really it's honestly like working backwards in a sense because I was like so like tired and just like
Let's touch on
lousy
that,
throughout
bro.
the day.
Let's touch on that because I know we want to talk about this.
Yeah.
The transition from you being in this grind, I'll put up with everything, you know, you have an overwhelming
Right.
schedule to moving more towards a I can't pronounce that word right now, so I'm not going to try. A more like a better approach where you know, you're leveraging systems, you're leveraging routines and such. Would love to hear about the transition and also like continue what you were saying, you know, realizing that this is not it and making that transition.
It may like maybe that mentality can be good for like a very short period of time. Like I'm not exactly sure if it did help me or hurt me more because while I was doing that, like I did make a lot of progress, right? But at the same time, like I said, I didn't have to work as long as I was. And I was just so tired throughout the day. Like my energy levels were horrible. To whereas now, you know, I actually run with a very similar morning routine to you because actually one of the best investments I ever made was in a performance coach, which I would have never thought because you don't directly see the return that you make like monetarily. But they have me do a very similar morning routine to what you told me earlier, where I wake up, I'm not looking at my phone. The only thing that I do is I'm a big black coffee drinker. So I grab my coffee, I go for a walk, and then I'll either like meditate or like either even journal, something like that. And then I'll go into a 90-minute work block. And I'll probably get done. And other thing I forgot to mention is during my work block, I write out what I need to do the night before. And so I will probably get done more in 90 minutes like now that it would probably used to take me like a day of work just because I'm so much more productive when I do it in that. And, you know, like you said, with systems, like I'm not doing everything myself anymore. And I'm not trying to do everything myself. Like I understand now that is working backwards, but I used to have such like need to have control over everything to where I got very uncomfortable outsourcing things to other people. Like it was very hard for me to trust other people to do it as well as I will. And so again, I know you're a huge advocate for this as well. I had to find a great team to where like they are like just as bought into my vision as I am. And that is the other thing that's been huge for me, just like leveraging other people's times, leverage other people's skills and, you know, their advantages. Because people have advantages that we don't have. You know, there are people that are so much smarter than me, so much more creative than me. And so just really leveraging other people, like other people's audiences. There's just so many ways that you can leverage other people and systems to accelerate your business and grow it exponentially while working less and not doing that grind stuff.
100%, man. And I'm gonna be honest, you know, for those of you guys that watch or listen to this podcast regularly, you know the breaks I took in between, and that is exactly because of not having systems, not having things in place. Right? I can't get on a call with Alex for an hour today, and you know have this type of podcast if like you said, I'm in this grind mode, whatever. And to attest to what he said and to let you guys know from my experience and let this be advice, let this be something you might take and apply. That morning work block, game changer, changes everything. I got so much done I do 2 hours, you know, from 7 to 9. I got so much done today at 9 a.m. and I felt so accomplished. And that's another thing, right? You got to look at the other side of it, outside of what you get done. You now at 9 a.m. feel proud that you got a lot done. And you're like, it's only 9 a.m., you know? So you're going into your day with a very different mood than if you were to go with it. You know, some people wake up and watch TikTok for an hour in bed before they get up. Think about how they are moving throughout the day versus us. Yo, we got our coffee, went for a walk, meditated, did our journals, and got some shit done, right? So something to take on that. I'm really, you know, glad Alex shared that because I believe that's a huge transition that he said that he's made that has helped him a lot, and similar on my way has helped me tremendously. Let's start talking about because we've talked about networking being a principle that has helped you a lot with your success. We've talked about having routines and you working in this way. I want to talk about different principles or different concepts that you live by, that you believe got you to where you are today, right? Certain things you do, certain things, certain way you think, maybe in certain perspective you look at, that allowed you to have the success you have now and allows you to keep going with it as well.
Yeah. So the biggest thing that I've actually been focused on lately is leverage and leveraging competitive advantages. So this is a big thing that I've been learning about lately, that it's like, again, I have 2,800 followers on Twitter, but there are people that have 20,000 followers. There are people that have huge email lists. There are people that have huge Instagrams. There are people that are the best media buyers in the world. Like, there's all these people that have competitive advantages over me, and they have these incredible skills. And so how I think now as, the CEO of my company, where another big shift I've had is I used to do everything. Now I'm the CEO. So it's how do I move my business forward? And what I focus on is by getting access is by leveraging other people's competitive advantages. So how do I create a great example is, again, Closify primarily works with agencies. That's who we primarily work with. One of the things that I set up that has helped us tremendously is there is this guy that has over 100,000 followers on Instagram, and he has a course on how to start an agency. And so obviously a lot of his students do very, very well, and they get to a point where they're going to need a sales rep. And so he has access to all these already paying students of agency owners, and he has this huge audience of primarily people that are agency owners or want to be agency owners. So I was like, how do I leverage his course students and his Instagram following for Closify? And I was like, listen, I approached him and I was like, I would love for Closify to be able to supply all of your students with sales reps, and we'll waive the access fee for all of them. So they don't have to pay, for your course and then get hit with like another fee and feel like they're getting all these fees stacked on top of them. I was like, so basically we charge $2,000 access fee and then $97 a month per closer hired. And so I was like, listen, we'll waive the access fee for them because we're really interested in like the MRR, like the recurring revenue, right? Since we're like a SaaS. And so I was like, listen, I want to help your students, and you have this huge pool of students that I want access to. I'll waive the access fee for all of your students, and we'll supply them with sales reps. So now it's like we're getting, again, tons and tons of new students or new clients from his students every single day because I got access to his leverage, to his pool of students. And so there's so many ways to apply that. Again, like whether it's like giving people that have a huge email list, hey, I'll give your email list a $1,000 discount to Closify. Or if there's someone that's a really great media buyer, obviously we have a really good media buyer on our team, and, leveraging people like that, saying, hey, like we'll give you a small percentage of the company. Like if you're not in a point where you can pay a big retainer, we'll give you a small equity in our company for you to be our media buyer or a head of marketing, whatever you want to call it. So that has been what I've been focusing on lately. And since I've done that, like our business has increased so exponentially, and it's literally just focusing on leveraging other people's advantages.
I like that. Talk about investing in yourself, because I know that's a principle that you live by, because you're telling me you invest a lot in courses and such. That's how you met me.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, like I said, one of the very first courses I bought was Tanner Plain's course, where I saw your video in it. I think I spent close to $50,000 on info products and coaching programs in 2020. And I can certainly say that I wouldn't even be a fraction of where I am without it. And here's the thing that like people don't understand is there are so many more benefits to it than just the information.
Yo, let's touch on that. I don't think, and this is a huge, stupid way people think, is the ROI is always like monetary, right? I spent 5,000 on this course,
right?
Make 5,000 back. Such a stupid way of thinking. Let them know why.
Exactly. So of course, like again, it's easy to get caught up in that because it's easy to get addicted to seeing the pixels on the screen of your bank account, your Stripe, it's very addicted to get addicted to that. And so when you see it go down, to associate a negative emotion with that, right? But the other thing about buying a course, like for example, honestly, when I bought Iman's copy paste agency, the information was great. And that information already had like a huge ROI in my business, but also the fact that it lights a fire under your ass. And it's like, okay, like I just put this money into this. Like now I'm going to apply it. You know what I mean? If you get information for free, information is everywhere. You can probably go find anything on YouTube, quite frankly. You can find anything out there for free. But when you pay for it, you're going to apply it and you're going to work. Like that is it. And it's simple. And the other way is, I know you've done this as well, is again, I'll pay for a course or coaching just to get someone into my network also as well. And so like if you can pull one new piece of information out of a program, a course, whatever that'll help you, it's worth it. If you can get one new mindset out of it, like it's worth it. Like it's it's just going to constantly keep progressing you, and you're just going to get a little bit better like every single day. Like I know you are never going to stop investing in yourself, and neither am I. Like it's just a way to make sure you never get complacent and you keep learning, because at the end of the day, like you have to keep learning. And I like, again, you are obsessed with making your email marketing agency better and making the client experience better every single day. And I know you are, because you'll be texting me and you'll be telling me all these things that you're doing to make your client experience better. Like we are the exact same way. And there is no way to keep progressing your business and your business's ability to give the client a great experience unless you keep investing in yourself. So again, maybe it doesn't necessarily make you a huge like monetary ROI, but maybe it makes your client's experience better. Well, then that is going to make you a monetary ROI. So like sometimes you have to put the monetary at ROI like second or third. Like it's not necessarily what you should be thinking about. Like again, yeah, you know what I mean.
Yeah. And at the end of the day, the reason you pay is so you pay attention, like Alex said. He probably has hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of courses in, if he wanted to. He has access to that, right? Let's be honest,
Right.
guys. I'm not blind to it. You can find pretty much every course, any information online. The reason I've had courses that I have had the torrented version of courses, and I've gone in and bought the course itself, because money is not the only thing I'm looking for. Like Alex said, man, you guys got to start looking at the long-term vision of everything, right? When you realize is that, oh, one person can change my whole life, this one connect, this access could, you start thinking very differently. So I'm grateful you touched on that.
The crazy part there too is I just want to touch, you never know which one it's going to be that changed your life too. That's the crazy part, right? Like that's why I've bought in courses before. Like for example, it was stupid, but I bought a course on how to start an exotic car rental business. I wasn't planning on starting that business, but I was like, maybe this guy will somehow, like maybe he'll be a Closify client one day. Maybe he'll have an opportunity for, like, you just never know who that one person or program is going to be that changes everything for you.
Facts. Speaking of Closify, I would love for you to touch more on the details of Closify, who you guys serve, and also give information to people that are listening if they might be interested in working with you guys.
Yeah, so we work with, again, I say primarily agencies, B2B agencies, that whether it's creative agencies, digital marketing like Facebook ads, email marketing, SEO, but we also work with coaches, consultants, info product sellers. And so basically our goal is to make the hiring, the onboarding, and the management process as easy as possible for a business to hire, onboard, and manage a sales rep. And basically, like I said, I used to be a recruiter for agencies as well, and they'd pay me $5,000 per closer place. And then it's like, okay, they also have no idea how to onboard and manage their sales rep. So basically, again, we charge $2,000 to get access to the platform. And then there's a database of, again, all experienced closers. We've looked at their tracking sheets, talked to their past employers. You can see how much they've closed, what their close rate is, what niches they've sold in. And then you can literally just schedule an interview with them directly from within the platform. You interview a few people, you find someone you like, you invite them to their team through the platform, and they'll accept, the closer accepts it. And then we actually create the scheduling link for you, so that way you can start directly booking calls into their calendar. And then you get access to an account manager that is like your interim sales manager. So he's going to help you define KPI. He's going to help you build like their end of day reports that they need to do every single day. Because again, a lot of people don't even know that you need that for your closers. And then he's going to help you, like if you need like help setting up your qualification questions on Calendly, because again, our account manager is the same person that ran my agency the last few months that I was running it, and we were running the sales operations for like a $250,000 a month business. So he's kind of split tested everything, so he's helping people with all their sales processes really. And so, yeah, all of our closers are able to start selling an offer in like 7 days max, to where the people that go through recruitment agencies, the average ramping time is like 30 to 45 days.
That's amazing. And guys, if you're listening, I gotta say, this is someone that, listen, if you decide to work with him, understand that you're working with someone that is always looking to get better, that is always going to improve their service, and someone I'm going to be working with, in the long run, as I start building my sales team for my agency and my email even more. You know what I mean? So definitely someone I trust, definitely someone that I think you should definitely check out if you need a closer. So yeah, outside on that, before we end off, I would ask you just some simple questions. Would love to hear your perspective on money and how it has changed from the high school you buying courses, watching videos, to now, the CEO, Alex,
It's
right?
actually it's actually really interesting. If you would have given me the same amount of money I have right now and put me back in high school, like, I'm not gonna lie, I would be on the way to like the Rolex store like right now, and I'd be buying flashy shit. Like that's like truthfully like what I would be doing, because like that was why. And the other thing was I was really chasing money back then. Like I was trying to do everything and anything with the sole purpose to make money. And obviously I did end up making a little bit of money, but I realized like that's just not how it works. Like now all I see money is as freedom, really, and that's it. And I have no attachment to it because I understand that it's kind of just this thing that we need we need to pay for our cost of living. But outside of that, it's just an enhancer of who you really are. And so now it's just like I'm trying to build the greatest product that I can. I'm trying to enjoy life the most that I can. And the money that comes to me is just a byproduct of that. And so like I'm not like chasing money now. I'm like just trying to serve people. I'm trying to serve my clients. I'm trying to build really cool things. Like I'm working on some passion projects right now that it's like I couldn't care less if they make me money or not. Like if they do end up making a lot of money, like cool, like that's fantastic. I'm not gonna be mad about it. But at the end of the day, like now it's just like I can cover my cost of living. Like how do I just build more things that I enjoy? So that's kind of my methodology now.
I love the perspective shift, and I've seen that be more of the common answer is like went from this one thing you almost like, false god, false prophet, something that like you put on a pedestal, to something that you see as a tool, something that you see,
Right.
okay, I can use this to do this, blah blah blah. Amazing answer, bro. Some rapid fire questions, man. Favorite book of all time, do you have one?
I gotta go with the classic of Think and Grow Rich. I really like that one because that was a game changer for me. I think I read that during quarantine for the first time.
Really
Um,
interesting.
and that was kind of when I realized, because as I read that book, it was during quarantine. That was kind of the first time. I used to think all of the like the law of attraction shit was like a bunch of like voodoo stuff that like weird people talked about. You know what I mean? Like I thought they're like hippies and stuff.
I know what you
And
mean.
then I started like practicing the practices in the book that the author tells you to do. And as I started writing things down, as I started journaling, and then I started going back through my journal, months later, I was like, wait, I actually just did like every single thing that I wrote down. And they all happened like exactly as I said they would. And so that was when I was like, whoa, like this is like a game changer. So yeah, that's an incredible book.
Awesome, bro. Favorite travel destination you've been so far?
Man, I haven't traveled as much as I've wanted to. I've actually not really been outside the country. I was going to do
That's
it
actually
last
the
summer, and
next
then
question,
COVID
is where do
hit.
you want to travel to?
So the favorite I've been to so far is the British Virgin Islands. I went to St. Thomas and St. John. It was really dope. To where I want to travel, dude, honestly, ever since, again, I think it was like 2018, 2019, when all the ecom guys, like including yourself, were in Bali. Ever since I've seen you, all of you guys at Bali, I've wanted to go to Bali so badly. I want to go there so badly.
Yo,
So yeah,
I'm
that's the
going
spot.
back, bro. I'm going back in a couple months. So hey, what's okay? And guys, this might be just a quick part. I don't mean to interrupt you. Here are the reasons why I think Bali might be cool, right? So I've been living in Toronto. I lived in, okay, let me talk. This year started of me in Montana for a week, just visiting someone, to Miami for a month. You can only imagine the living expenses in Miami, especially peak COVID, when everybody who
Right.
could afford to be in Miami wasn't at Miami. Everything was so expensive. So I lived there for 5 weeks, very expensive. Then I went to Mexico for a month and a half, cheap as hell. my living expenses were so low, right? And then came back to Toronto, and yo, like literally $100 will go and I wouldn't even realize that, right? In Mexico, I could stretch that. The reason I say Bali is, first, there's a huge network of entrepreneurs there. So there's a good place for networking. Nature wise, it's unreal, beautiful. It's just breathtaking. And last, on the logical side, the reason I want to go is, again, the living expenses, yo. What I would spend probably in a week here, I could live like a king in Bali, right? Let's think about all the money I don't spend here on like just living and just the simple stuff. What I can do with that capital, right? Outside of, okay, spending it on more stuff, think about the money you save. So after I'm done here, I am going to go to Bali because, yo, I have my friends that are going there and it's a good network. And yo, like, be mindful, people listening, if you guys have the, ability to be mindful about your expenses and how much you could be saving and what you could be doing with those expenses. Like the month and a half I was in Mexico. Oh my God, bro. There was a week where I didn't spend any money. I had won some money in the casino, which is like probably $500. And I spent that for the whole week. And I was treating everybody. I was buying my boy cigar. I was buying everybody dinners. And it's like, when you realize like that's a way of life and you can live life like that, you start thinking like, yo, like, why, why am I going to deal with winter? Right. So food for thought for everybody. Anyways, Alex, for people, I'm going to put all your socials below, your Instagram, your Twitter, your Closify's links as well. Any message to them before you go? You good?
Dude, just best advice I could give people is just keep going and eventually keep investing in yourself, keep going, keeping discipline, and eventually something's going to stick. Because that's what worked for me and that's what'll work for you.
100%, bro. Thank you again for coming on, bro. I really appreciate you taking your time and sharing your journey, your perspectives and advice. For those listening, appreciate you guys listening. Have a great day. Going to be so much more consistent with this and you're going to see more episodes coming through. Bye-bye.